Good evening, Trinidad and Tobago. Welcome to the live video. It is Monday, May 24th. It is 9:16. I apologize for being a couple minutes late, but I had things to get done before I could get around to this. Of course, this video is going to require that we have an audience of some size so that the word can spread quickly. I would like then to ask everybody present to take a minute and share the video, not only on your wall, but on every group or page that you're a member of. And even if you could copy the link, as I am about to do, and share it on your WhatsApp to all your friends. Is that important? Because today, what I watch take place, and I had to listen to that debate, and what I watch take place in that parliament was disgusting. I do not feel as if the nation is being properly stewarded by this parliament. And I say this parliament because I watched a government running rampant and an opposition so weak it couldn't even rise to the defense of one of its newest and strongest members. Saddam Hussein, when he rose to speak, he reminded me of a baby wildebeest in the jungle by the water hole. And the lions and the hyenas circled and bit at him at every turn. Camille Robinson Regis, Faris Al-Rawi, and the rest. I don't know who were the rest that was jumping up. Faris was bellowing, "Standing order 55-1!" And the speaker, who allowed Keith Scotland to flap his bamsey all over the parliament chamber, because that's what Keith Scotland got up to do, flap his bamsey, which he did. I was wondering what the country would be if we didn't have Keith Rowley at this time as Prime Minister. Keithos Scotlandos, I will tell you, because the Speaker had no power here. So, Madam Speaker, with all due respect, none of this is going to be tedious or repetitious. A lot of it will stray, but it will come back to the point, Madam Speaker, because your role in the Parliament is to chair a free exchange. And if I get to the debate 3 hours late, Madam Speaker, and I'm hearing for the first time some of the heinous actions of the government through a different speaker, you are to allow it. Your job is, if you see somebody on the UNC side fling a chair or a teacup. Let's say Rowley decided to pelt his teacup or his bottled water across the aisle, as he has done before. He's not a raging bull now. But I watch Keith Scotland's contribution, and I thought to myself, there is nothing in modern science to remove the amount of Keith Rowley's shit that is on Keith Scotland's nose tonight. Keith Scotland's nose was so far up his leader's asked that he could have given him a proper exam. Keith Rowley could get his whole colon report tonight, small and large intestine, because Scotland was up inside of there. Keith Scotland was brilliant in his rewriting of history. And to listen to him tell around the fire, that was the Parliament today. Because when he was speaking, his job was to make it sound as if this government knew what the ass it was doing. Now, I had to listen to Terence D'Alsing earlier in his confident girl accent, trying to sound like a medical professional, referring to colleagues like Rai Ragbir and Lakram Bedo. But Mr. D'Alsing, they are not pharmaceutical sales reps like you. They are real doctors, not like you. I'm telling them to leave Parasram out their business. But you're damn fast. To the rest of the world, Parasram always looks like he's appealing for a rescue. They have me hostage. Come for me. You know fine? All of the fine? All of my Roshan Parasram has always looked like somebody who don't want to be where he is. You know fine? But we pretended. I want to tell Trinidad and Tobago something. Because the UNC weak, it's worthless. Kamala Persad-Bissessar could be elevated to the president and she will do a wonderful job in that useless role. But the UNC did not rise and defend Saddam Hussein today. If I was Rudal Munilal today, I ought to stand up. Madam Speaker, how much of this bullshit you going to tolerate? There are people watching. There are 1.4 million people paying attention to this circus. You can't let the boy speak. His contribution is so damning to the Jackass Circus that his words need to... There was a point Saddam said, Madam Speaker, this is ridiculous. I've not said a word as yet. They overdid it. And you over-allow it. And Rudal Modilal and the band sat down there because they're weak. They're broken. They're spent. And 510,000 supporters of the UNC watching Saddam get cuffed and kicked from a weak, crying ass like Faris, who forget because they come to talk about Vigil. And watch me, Madam Speaker, allow me some latitude. I'm just going to be referring to Keith Rowley's use of the word Vigil, en passant. This is not me dealing with it yet. I come for him, but he had to wait. I want to go through one by one the Jackass Brigade. Because he forget. He forget when he couldn't fight me. He afraid and he hiding from me. He want to pretend that Kamala have anything to do with Vigil. Kamala have not one ass to do with Vigil. Pat down, back down, shut up. But you're trying hard because your little Syrian handlers telling you, don't let Philip name call in the Parliament. Philip getting too strong. The whole country saying we want Philip Alexander. And you're hearing it. You're tired hearing it. You do everything in your power to run from that petition. And now you want to threaten people. I'm coming back for you on that. But you forget when your boy Toy Faris Al-Rawi went because he didn't know. At first, he cussed me. He said, crocodile tears, candle don't save nothing. And then we released some pictures of Faris in his original tight pants days, when he was in opposition. He came to our candlelight vigil then and lit a candle with us. So then he remembered, all right, candle the solved thing. So they waited until somebody that they could march for passed away. As bizarre as that sounds. And they went out in their numbers. And all of them were in masks, lighting candles, with the exception of who? Guess who? Johnny Sukaran himself. No mask for he. Like when he was by Johnny Bravo and Voice and them, playing Mr. Man. Remember the arm wrestling Olympics? That don't cause no spike. Why would I talk about that? Best friend wedding, 200 Syrian, drizzling the olive oil. That don't cause no spike. Don't talk about that. And here, I have to believe is the culmination of the jackassery that Keith Rowley is capable of. If he goes beyond this level of jackassery, then I will surrender my crystal ball, my magic cards, and my tea bags. Keith Rowley actually had the audacity to say, they want you to believe it's 50,000 people went to Tobago. But that is not what Rohan Sinadan said, you know. It was 25,000 went one way and 25,000 come back the other. As if 25,000 people jam up in a boat and a plane and on Pigeon Point whining on one another. Much different to 50,000, you jackass. As if it's much different. 25,000 people for 4 days. Exchange armpit sweat ketos. You think before you talk. They send you there to read all the countries that have had a state of emergency. And it is true. So are you saying then that their actions were better actions than yours? One of the speakers got up to ask, I think it was Rudy Indarsing of all people. Now I think that rather than listen to Rudy Indarsing speak, I would sit down and listen to a B-14 muffler idling. That would be more exciting. And yet today, Indarsing was pelting shots. And he was on point. And he asked some probing questions. Perhaps that's what Keith Scotland went looking for. To see where Indarsing was probing. Because Rudy Indarsing asked some questions that the speaker didn't know how to deal with. And the other side couldn't. You see, Indarsing have a droning monologue. He have no inflection. It's like, you ever see somebody after they get Botox? They have one expression. That's how he speaks. He could tell you, hey, look out, the piano is falling on your head. No excitement, no inflection, nothing. And he asked some questions today that made me wonder what exactly was today's exercise. Now, Kamala Prasad Bisesa, again, I want to tell you this. You'll get tired hearing this. Your advisors are shithounds. I'll tell you why your advisor. Keith Scotland said, why are we still here 4.5 hours later when this debate could have wrapped up in 5 minutes? And he was right. You know why? Because it's a farce. The government has the majority. 2 seats. And that's enough. 2 seats more than the UNC is enough to make it a circus. It's a theater. It's a farce. The law says a simple majority. If the UNC didn't go, they'd still do their shit. They'd have less shit to talk. And nobody from the UNC side would have watched the parliament. All Kamala's advisors made her do was go there and talk shit for them to shit her up. Because she's not sharp anymore. And they have nobody in her team in that house that could take them on. They'd have dragged me out of the house today. The speaker was out of place all the time. That's not the role. If that is the role of the speaker, then stop pretending it's a democracy. Stop pretending. If I can't talk, because he say I can't talk, and everything that Keith Scotland talked about today had nothing to do with the state of emergency. He went on to talk about times he had daydreams and times he had nightmares. I don't want to know all of that. I really didn't want to know all of that. Terence Dialsing did some arithmetic today. And I said to myself, Terence is going to give you some TikTok memes today. Because all the issues that they ducked, and they duck, and they bob, and they weave, and when them speak, they speak a meandering bag of shit. And when the opposition spoke, they interrupted the opposition, threw them off their game. Now in a real parliament, others on the other side will stand up and say, bullshit, that order is not, Madam Speaker, that order does not apply. And she'll get tired. But the UNC sit down and watch them kick the shit out of Saddam Hussein. Saddam should resign. He should tell Kamala, take this job and shove it. Or they watch them brutalize me and not a man's. You are the leader of the opposition. You could not stand up. Madam Speaker, I rise to my feet to tell you what is taking place in this parliament is making a circus of the thing. Somebody earlier 4 hours ago may have said something. If he says it now and it relates to what he is trying to say, how is that tedious repetition? Y'all are making a mockery of the standing orders. So I still don't know what Saddam wanted to say. And I know that Faris frayed him. Faris frayed Saddam. Why? Why? Is it that Saddam have his Muslim name his whole life and didn't change it after to be trendy for flair and flam? Maybe. I don't know. But it seems like they're terrified of this little boy Saddam Hussein. And that have me intrigued. Because I know he took Clarence Rembrandt behind the school shed this week and shared some blows. So I was dismissing Saddam as insignificant because he's small and his voice comes across whiny. And somebody needs to coach him. Saddam, if you know what you know, you don't have to fight to speak. Claim your space, brother. You're entitled. Everybody keeps saying you're entitled to speak. Well, Madam Speaker, if I'm entitled to speak, why don't you and everybody else sit down, shut up, and let me speak? They could pay out for that. We will remember you forever fondly. Fondly, Saddam. No problem. But we're not there. The opposition is being bullied. Now, check the law. In 3 months' time, because the PNM entitled 3 months, Kamala was entitled 3 months, they took it. So the government came to take their 3 months of state of emergency because they done lost all the goodwill of being #1 in the world. And Dassing asked him, how did we go from Oxford saying we are #1 in the world to a state of emergency in such a short space of time? Which one wasn't true? Now, bullshit artist that Keith Rowley is, when I don't have nothing to say, I just warm my seat. Today was a day to warm your seat, brother. Because today, you didn't interfere with Kamala. You interfered with me, and I ain't taking that. You stand up to pretend that candlelight vigil could have spread COVID. No problem. Night after night after night. They wanted to take advantage and use this dead girl name. Call Andrea name in the parliament. And that is the lowest I've ever seen anybody go. To score cheap political points. You're ducking from a girl whose memory is going to force you to decriminalize pepper spray, to deal with PH taxis, to fix license plates, to make FULs available to women. And you're going to do a commission of inquiry into the criminal justice system. Or we're going to fire you. Yes. We're going to fire you, brother. All of us, the people of Trinidad and Tobago, yes. When you're inside the parliament, you kick up squad, if you're bad, we're out and bad, 41 are we, and it's 21, and the speaker is one of we, so we can do what you want. No problem. Saddam tried to say that. She shut him down from saying that, but it's a fact. The biggest nonsense of our system is the winning side appoints the referee. No, come on. Come on. It was stupid when it was Wade Mark, and it's stupid now. Doesn't make sense. To the people watching, people always want to know why this thing don't work. It's set up to not work. It's set up to fail. And until you vote a government into office and have the backbone, belly, and balls to fix it, it'll continue like this. So an ex-attorney general for the PNM is the head of the tribunal for the PNM, and to bring that up as a matter of urgent national concern is repetitious and tedious. I surprised we even getting to discuss and say the word COVID in that parliament. That Speaker of the House should be ashamed. When Saddam saying he was right, blood on all their hands. Because when Keith Rowley tried to say that the candlelight vigil met night after night after night, we stopped meeting. Jackass that you are. Complete lack of any brain. And whoever handed that paper, they make you a fool tonight. I'll tell you. Night after night after night, I'll let me thousands of people. Yeah, but we stopped on the 12th of February. Your graph say the first spike on the rolling numbers start on the 29th of March. You bring that on TV. When all you get all your new graph program, and all you're proud like children Christmas morning, pop a tree in it, daddy, we see it bump up and down. Red, blue, pink, all green. I see the debut green. We get all kind of graph on the screen and watch I take pictures of all. So I have my information. So you can't come back and say, Sutherland didn't mean 50,000 went, 25,000 went one way, and 25,000 come back. That's bullshit. We have everything that Sinanan said. Audio, video, and Sabga News Network print. We have all of them lie. That's a massive conspiracy to make you look like a fool, Keith. But the last vigil was on the 12th of February. The last of those vigils that was night after night after night. 12th of February. And those vigils, 12th of February to the 29th of March, is 30th to the 12th. Between the 12th of February, 12th of March, 30 days. And you're still at 12 from 19, 37 days. 37 days from the funeral to the first blip. 22 cases. So 37 cases. 37 days from your 22 cases. But this is more important. I need to find these dates and I need to be correct. So I'll stop doing things off the top of my head. You and I know that when you went to talk today, you went to try and make yourself sound like you know what you was talking about. I want to show you that you don't. And to do that, I have to pull up some information here. So, between the 12th of February, now you see this, right? 31st of March, what I saying? 31st of March. That's all your graph. 22 cases. 31st of March. So that is a whole month, 31 days in March, plus 12, 14 days to the 28th, because it's not a leap year. Was it a leap year this year? If it was, I owe you a day. 14 days, 31, 41, 45 days, brother. The number's getting bigger. 45 days away from your first spike on the 31st of March, 22 cases. 45 days away was Andrea Barrett's funeral. I'm glad you call her name, you know. I'm glad her name in the Hansard. I go choke you with that name. You go swallow it. You go gag on that name tonight. 45 days away from the 31st of March. But wait, we then formed the Candlelight Movement. And we had our first meeting on the 5th of March. The second meeting on the 12th of March, Baraka Grounds. That was our last meeting. A couple hundred people were there. At Baraka Grounds, a couple hundred people were there for 2 hours. On the 12th of March. 31st of March is your 22 cases. And those cases are the first of your spike. 19 days. 19 days from our last meeting to your first spike. Know what happened? Next. The next day, PNM people was traveling that whole week to get to Tobago for the 4th of April. Rohan Sinanan said, that there were more people traveling to Tobago from the week before for him to get the 50,000 people there, the 31st of March, 1st of April, 2nd of April, 3rd of April, Easter Sunday, 4th of April. You know when your big spike was, Kitos? You know when your 85 case spike that rocked the country was? The 14th of April. 14 days from your mass exodus to Tobago, to dance, to wine. Whether it was 25,000, which is a lie. We could check it, and you had to know. Or 50,000, doesn't matter. Because you said that the candlelight vigils gave COVID-19 what it wanted, live bodies that could transmit one from the other. So it's 200 of us. In Barker grounds. How much people went to Tobago? How many? And you have the audacity. And you threaten people. Careful what you ask for, you know. You could get it. Like you could do something. You're arsonist, fireman, and now you're policeman too. Yes, I know I live in a country where anything could play. But my voice has reached the corners of the globe. People know me and they know my name. And they know what I have stood for. So I know that I can't say 100% safe, but you will hear my voice forever, brother. And I feel, should something happen to me, my voice will go viral for good until everything that was anything that could have been part of something that could have led to my untimely demise rule the day. I have spoken these words for thousands of hours for free, for love of country. And I tell you tonight though, what took place today in that parliament was a farce. It didn't have to be that way. We tried to rewrite history. We tried to pretend. Madam Speaker, P1, Brazilian variant, stand in order, stand in order, stand in order. You know why stand in order? You know why tedious repetition? Because you don't want to hear it. Hear it tonight. Let me tediously repeat it for you. When Fitzgerald Hines had his first press conference, he admitted that the Ministry of National Security had failed to secure the nation's borders, that they were porous, that he didn't know how to fix it. So he was going and fix 15 beach and start there. But yes, and he said the word yes, that the Brazilian variant that came into the country that was killing our people and spreading like wildfire came in on an illegal immigrant through our porous borders. That cannot be tediously repetited enough, Madam Speaker. That should have been the whole debate. How the ass we spending $9 billion a year. And for macaroni, corned beef, and diesel, 33 boat park up in Shagaramas. You ground the helicopters. You cancel the contract. You fire the pilots. Why? Why? You want to call names about other countries that suffer. And you say you're not the prime minister of those countries? No. But they might have, some of them may have jackasses like you. And I want to get a piece of information that I have, that the Minister of National Security may want. This was told to Indar Singh. It was another debate So move on. This is a different debate. But it's the same issue. Yeah, but it's another debate. No problem. Guyana, 20% vaccinated. Curacao, 48% vaccinated. 48.5% vaccinated. Barbados, 26%. Aruba, 50%. Cayman, 74,000. I don't know people in there. Bermuda, 57%. Belize, 12%. St. Lucia, 14%. Bahamas, 10%. Dominica, 27%. Antigua, 33%. Turks and Caicos, 51%. St. Martin, 36%. Grenada, 13%. St. Vincent, 12%. St. Kitts, 24%. Anguilla, 57%. Montserrat, 26%. Trinidad and Tobago, 4%. Yes, shame. That need to be tediously repetitive too, Madam Speaker. That need to. I want to get this though. The doctors under attack. Politics. Keith Scotland come to tell them that the Minister of Health has no authority over the rostering of doctors. No, that's true. But the Minister of Health has authority over the people who rosters the doctors. So we playing smart with stupidness. Just thought I'd put that out there. You hire the man who hired the man. I got a card once when it said, when they made you, they broke the mold. And I opened it and said, rumor have it, they beat the shit out of the mold maker too. I found that was so funny. You hire the man who doing the rostering, you rostering. I want to check something here that the Minister of National Security didn't let slip. So I will. Boy, if I don't find this, I'll be excited because I can find it after. And it's the number of beaches and entry points and soldiers. There's so much stuff I have here. $8,000 soldiers. 40 on a beach as a second line. 33 boats. Even if they can, as long as they're floating, you could drag them out 3 miles out at sea and separate all of them 2-3 miles. That's all you need to do to secure the borders. But that ain't get debated. And I don't understand why. Of all the things that not being debated in a country of Latinta, in a country of 600 million in Monas, a country of 1 billion when Spain in a yacht outfitted in Chagaramas, in a country that sent 300 million worth of cocaine to Norfolk, Virginia, in a country that sent $460 million to Canada, in a country that send cocaine all over the world. How come you're not debating the borders? How come? In a country that has 57,000 illegal guns, the Prime Minister told us when it was 37,000. I asked then, and he get wise. He has said it since. How did you know? That stock check, that number, it's not an average. It's about 37,000 guns. Like somebody keeping track. And I wanted to know how you knew. When Dylan said 57 of our women were trafficked. Trafficked to where? What do you mean? How do you know that? For you to say it in the parliament, 57 women were trafficked. You know their names. You had to know what happened to them. That's not guesswork. We're not Madam Speaker, 57 women, we look everywhere in Trinidad. We know they're not in Trinidad. It's either they run away or they was trafficked. You didn't say it so. You said we know for certain 57 of our women were trafficked. How do you know that? In a country that had a Scott drug report in the 80s that almost ruined high society. We've never had a drug report since. I asked Basdio Pandey in an interview. Basdio Pandey sharper than a tack. If you tell Basdio pink, he say blue. Right there with you. I asked him that one question and he stalled. Now I don't understand why the most pressing and important thing to this country our porous borders that has let in 100,000 Venezuelans that we now have to contend with, that we now have to share the money that's spent on public health. That's because Inchan Ishmael asked, how many Venezuelans are in the public health system now? How many? We didn't get an answer. How many? Terence D. Alsing said tonight, and Saddam Hussein, somebody give Saddam my number. I want to help Saddam and give him some technique. 17,000 healthcare workers. And boy, 17,000 we have, because Terence D. Alsing said tonight at the start of his presentation, I drink some water for this one. At the start of his presentation, he said a special good evening to 17,000, everybody watching this video, you know. President, Prime Minister, opposition leader, everybody watching this video tonight, you know. Because Trinidad knows that there is a third position that needs to be taken, that doesn't get into the national conversation, but for voices like mine. I will say it tonight, and in a couple of days, all the other activists that people follow will mention it then. I have to set the record straight. I have to, what they tell me, when I went to Sokamona, big black fella, the man must be about 7'9". If he ain't weighing, I swear, he man weighing 500 pounds, big fella. He walk up to me, God, this man flicked me, I gone. Give me a bounce. He say, unleash the zest. Indeed. We have 17,000 healthcare workers. We have 1,551 beds. 1,007 are missing. The Commissioner of Police is on it. I know that at some point they're going to have to talk to Gypsy because they say he know about bed and mattress. But we have 17,000 public health workers. We have 455 people in the hospital. We have 163 people in step-down facilities, 183 people in quarantine, and 7,282 people in home isolation, all of whom tell me nobody checks up on them. So, we have to add this up. And I have to use a calculator. So we have 455 and 163. 455 plus 163, 618. What's the last number? In step-down facilities, 455 in hospital, 163, 183 in state quarantine, plus 183. Plus 183. 801 people. We have 801 people sick. And we have 17,000 public health workers. Nobody in this country have cancer anymore. Nobody have heart disease. Nobody have stroke. Nobody have ingrown toenail. Nobody have nothing. Nothing else makes the news. The only thing that we have in Trinidad and Tobago is COVID. All 17,000 public workers working for 803 people. That don't make no sense. Not to me. I don't know if it makes sense to you, but it don't make no sense to me. And Terence D. Alsing, and I can't wait for the condensed version of what these people said. Because Terence D'Alsing said that we could vaccinate everybody in this country in 5 months. Yet, the past 6 months, March, April, 3 months, 4%. 4%. 455 in hospital, 163 in step-down facilities, 183 in state quarantine. So we have 455 in hospital. And the parallel health sector had 452 beds. And Richards finds 70 and she added. That's 500 and something. I'm trying to understand what the state of emergency is for. And that's what the debate was for today. Why you need a state of emergency. And the debate wasn't for Keith Scotland to come and reminisce. It wasn't for Terence D'Alsing to play doctor. It wasn't for Keith Rowley to try and shift the blame. That's not the purpose of the debate. Madam Speaker, you wanted to keep everybody on topic. The debate done. The ayes have it. And I still don't know what is the purpose of the state of emergency that the president called. We have enough bed. We have more than enough public health workers. We have 17,000 public health workers. I didn't know that. It's a big number. That's large. What is the purpose of this state of emergency that normal lockdowns wasn't doing? What? Gary had everybody off the street. And if all they had stopped jackassing Gary, he'd have deal with it. But all you jackass him and all you put him and embarrass him with Sinclair engagement and Faris and them wrestling Olympics, all you Bayside Lime, all you had Gary trying to explain why people who live in big shot areas could get away with shit. And what should have been debated today was the location of every case that started this. You see, the first time, Anita Haynes said, we knew the first death. We knew the first case. People was afraid to say they have COVID because we were shaming them. We was contact tracing. For some reason, we're not doing that no more. We should have got better at it. Seems we got worse. And we don't know. Like we don't know who gave Keith Rowley COVID. I do everything I'm supposed to do and I still get COVID. And what you say? I don't know what that means. Every time I see you, you ain't wearing no mask. You in pictures. The day after you say, don't jackass the scene, no more than 5 people. When you're with them, wear your mask. And the next day you in a picture with your mask by your chin and it's 9 all in the picture. You say, don't jackass the scene, and you go and jackass the scene. The week before you took 50,000 people to Tobago, you said all it will take is one fool. And we thought it was Faris. But it was you. And your 50,000 SS. Partner. Own your shit now. We will respect you. Come to the people and say, I talk a bag of shit. That night all you see me in my white suit. Telling people, there are no COVID in Tobago. Come Tobago. We will take you across and party your nice. Tell them, you talk a bag of shit. In hindsight, because Rudy D'Alsing put the speaker in her place when he was raising an issue about Parashram, and she told him that that was from our last debate. And he told her, no, this is this debate. What I want to know is, because this Minister of Health just say, don't bring Parashram in all your thing. And I just want to know if Parashal's advice as CMO was ignored by the Prime Minister, as was published in the media. You see, even if it corrupt, even if all you own it, even if your partners and them don't worry about it, you're blind, you publish shit as a headline, retract it next day. We made them look foolish. Newsday say that Kamala say prayers don't work. Newsday retract it. But it allowed Keith Scotland to go in the Parliament today and pretend that Kamala still said it. Now, I gave Kamala some licks for having said that, believing that the Newsday was correct, which was incredibly stupid of me. Now, I didn't know the source, and I was wrong. So I have to apologize for Kamala, apologize to Kamala for saying that she said something that she did not say. Now, that's what you call integrity and owning your shit. What Keith Scotland did today is the opposite of that. Because if Keith Scotland saw the story that said she said prayers don't help, and he didn't see the retraction, then that's sad. That's sad. But he remembered things. Like she called for a complete lockdown for 14 days when we had one death. And he said, thank God we didn't do it. Again, uncharacteristically, I have to ride to Kamala's defense. Because Keith Scotland is not a doctor. He doesn't know anything about medicine other than what his doctor tells him. So, Mr. Scotland, when 5 of you all went to open a bus shed and called it a transportation hub, I wanted to call you on the phone and give you the definition of the word hub. And I wanted to see if Gary Griffith would tell you. Because in Trinidad, it is against the law to be on the side of the road opposite the traffic. In other words, if the bus shelter on the left side of the road, only traffic heading west from an easterly direction could pull up next to that bus shelter. If traffic heading east from a westerly direction cross the lane and pull up by that bus shelter, the driver could get charged. For it to be a hub, Scotland, there's English. Don't get vexed with me. There's just English. And I see it was with PNM people. So I know it could have been the PNM education biting all in your ass. But there's English. A hub is multiple points of directions coming together. So people who was going west could jump out and head east or north or south. What all they open was a bus shelter. So if you don't know about hub and bus shelter, hush. Your job is to be the member of Parliament for Port of Spain South and keep them people quiet and voting Balize. Oh God, we suffering, no work, no job, no car, no house, with bullets in the night, the children. All you hush up the man, Rowley love all you, okay. That's your job. Don't come and play doctor. Because believe it or not, and this is me riding to Kamala's defense, the first spike that we had, we would have ended it if we had taken her advice and shut the country down for 14 days with the first death. So that wherever COVID was, anywhere, hiding, Miss Rowley know, you know, the Yalsing know, Faris know, I shot Stuart Young, wherever he is, God bless his hiding soul. He know that COVID want to see other people and jump from one to the other and bite. Yeah, I know, graphics, So if we had shut it down, the 13 cases of COVID that was in the country would have been isolated and they would have died right there. So she was right. Kamala was correct. Let's talk sunlight. Let's deal with the sunlight because Kamala, again, was correct. The whole world knows vitamin D and ultraviolet, together with soap, are enemies to COVID-19. That if you trap it with vitamin D, hot sun, ultraviolet light, and soap, you kill it dead. She was correct. The dome that she was referring to, that you said, that if Kamala was in office, we'd all be out in the sun, maskless, under a dome, after 14 days of a state of emergency, after the first death. Keith Scotland. She was absolutely correct. That she doesn't have communications people that could explain that what they're seeing Israel survive any onslaught, any attack. It's the same dome. It's like what we call the maritime security wall. It's an actual wall. PNM here and they will think, you want to put bricks in the sea? No. Steel and cement and things? No. It's referred to as the maritime security wall. So it gives you an idea of what we're talking about. It's a virtual dome. What it is using the 360-degree radar and all the things that we call for to protect the nation and secure the borders and shut it down, which, when she said it, was the correct thing to do. And the 40 days shutdown that would have interrupted the incubation of COVID-19 at the earliest stages in Trinidad was the correct thing to do. So now our borders are secured, shut down completely, a virtual dome over the country. We had our 14 days, then invite everybody to go out in the sun. Because any COVID that left, you could brush it off like your grandmother dandruff. But Kamala don't have communications people. Kamala is surrounded with jackasses. So all they get to do and say what they want. But when you asked, and I was thinking, Philip, you are not in charge of the UNC or its communications. But when he asked, I remember a time when Gary Griffith was the Minister of National Security. And because I was his communications advisor and we were doing such a good job, other ministers asked for help. And I remember a couple things that took place when the People's Partnership was in office. And it made me think that if they were in office now, those 375 people that died on the PNM's watch would be alive today. In all their comorbidity, glory, and obesity, they'd still be alive. COVID killed them because we didn't secure the borders. COVID killed them because we didn't act prudently. When we declared the public health emergency, I didn't want to go to state of emergency, so I declared a public health emergency. Yes, you did. January 31st, I remember. 2020, I remember. And then you had Carnival. And then a PNM ex-big wig had a cruise of death that brought our first deaths into the country. I remember. You only point out your successes. But you forget that in these two islands that could have been secured didn't have to have COVID. And from the moment we got it, we could have shut down and kill it. And the same way you say, Australia make its citizens stateless, but they say they want we people to come home. No problem. You lock them out. No problem. But you went through COVID. And you know that 14 days is the incubation period. That if you isolate for 14 days and you have no human contact for 14 days, that even if you were in contact with COVID-19 before, when you get tested, it is either you have it or it died, like you went through. Ketos, Raulios, I have 2 kids now. But again, it's the wrong opposition facing all in our parliament. Because that'll make all you piss all your pants today for all the shit all you come to talk. All the man all you come to play man. Truth is truth. And everything I said tonight is the God's honest, absolute truth. That the people who have died from COVID-19 in Trinidad and Tobago died because the PNM government that is in charge of the country ground the helicopters, fired the pilots, park up the 33 Coast Guard boats in Chagaramas, failed to secure the borders, 8,000 soldiers playing Dwen Olympics in Chagaramas instead of helping and helping secure the borders of the country and prevent Venezuelan coming to make churran here and make little red trini. And claim citizenship. All of that shit went on. Didn't have to go on. And we beat it once. You said, Oxford. What happened between the two? What? Candlelight movement went and bring the Brazilian variant in. Did Kamala go? That's all you, Rowley. You and your band of malcontents. So you could declare a state of emergency because the Constitution allows you. And you have 3 months because the Constitution allows it. Today's debate wasn't necessary. And if I was Kamala, I wasn't coming. You go and do your own shit, brother. It's on you. Terence D. Elsing said he looks forward to working with others. No, you don't. You look forward to getting the benefit of the success if others help you. But everybody needs to stand down now. There are consequences to voting PNM. And it is time this entire country saw the consequences of voting for this PNM government in full glory. All of it. And I think that we should all agree that PNM, who are in charge, should be left to clean the shit of a mess that they made in the economy and with COVID-19. We can't tell you secure the borders, brother. We can't say it more. We can't say it in different languages. You don't want to secure it. For some reason, you want the borders porous and open. Carry on. I'm not in charge. You are. But there are consequences to your decisions. And you will own them. No matter how you try to duck them. This is forever. I could dare tonight. Everybody know. God, cancel and rebuke that. I want to live forever. Everybody know. Everybody know that the government that knew COVID was coming, that wrote a public health ordinance that said, even though the president sighed with resignation, that's the president I wrote during the election and told her this is going to cause a spike. She said, Phil, I don't have the authority. I said, yes, Madam President, you do. Say something, do something. She ignored me like next 2 letters. And then we had the spike. A couple people died. For a little wind down, all her neck in the road. Balisay. There's a consequence to that. It is time for Colm Imbert to find the money. Listen, if I had a way to mine Trinbagonians, I tell everybody, quit all your job. Close down all your business. Let me see where Colm going and find the money. Because there are no more oil money. There are no more gas money. So it's only tax money he's looking for. And if everybody unemployed, there are no tax money to get. So when the end of the month reach and Scotland and them looking for the, where my parliament check? Camille Robinson. Because that bag of money is not the only money she have. She want more. Where the check? I have weave to pay for. I remember Chantal Mondi tell me don't talk about the girl weave. But she did it. And you must own your shit. Your legacy is using taxpayers' money to pay for weave and fertility treatment. Own it. Be proud. Somebody say, any children that you had update we now, we have investment there. It's like the people who say, if you're all over Facebook boasting about your relationship, when all you're done, tell me about that too now, because we done invested there. There is no reason for a state of emergency tonight. And this is just abuse of office. And this is the failure of the Constitution to create real organizations of state to safeguard the people against a government gone rogue. There will never be another president of the United States as powerful, as independently wealthy, and as powerful as Donald Trump. And you see how the American system deal with Trump? Whatever reason don't go into it, please don't follow up the thread with Trump talk. I'm just saying, we have no such correcting measures. None. Our system, our whole system, is a joke. And that's why I said, we need to reboot this republic. We need to reinvent Trinidad and Tobago, but we're not. As long as we're going to continue to pretend that what took place in the parliament today is good enough, the consequences of it will have to be good enough as well. But when we do wake up to the reality that it doesn't work, don't look for pretty face and cleavage and other people. I like how he does talk. I like how she does talk. Listen. It is better you despise the person you vote for on a personal level. But think that that person in office will make my life and my children's lives better. I can hate he and work with he. That's called emotional intelligence. And we've never had that. We've had the opposite. And they've cornered us, divided us, and made us fools. So when Rowley say you could be black, you could be white, you could be Syrian, you could be Chinese, I just talk. I just talk. You know that? Everything is dog whistle politics. Neither organization set up to attract all of Trinidad and Tobago to real governance that will take this country and its supremely talented people where they need to be. He buff all you, he insult all you, and I come on 3 different lives and I tell him, it is the people of Trinidad and Tobago that flatten the curve. Not you and your 4 junior doctors and your pharmaceutical sales rep. It is the people of Trinidad and Tobago that stay at home, that master. People was wearing gloves in the beginning. Wash their hand, wash their foot, spray Lysol under their arms. Trinis did what they were supposed to do to flatten the curve. And you come to buff and insult them for every shit-on mistake you made. But there must be, at some point, consequences to that action. Either here or in the afterlife. When you meet God. You had a day of prayer, you better believe in him, brother. Whatever you pray for, I wish you well. It's 10:18, started at 9:16. I had an hour to give you, and you got it. There is a way to fix Trinidad and Tobago, and no, it is not playing political games, and no, I watch people on other threads, and I think to myself, what is it that makes otherwise intelligent people act so stupid and foolish? The only way to fix the country is to have people tell you how they would advocate, how they would advance, what they would do. When, where, how would you pay for it? Where would the money come from? Don't just let them give you that this, you see this what y'all do. I like how that policy song nice, eh? Everybody getting a red roof. But there must be a way for them to explain to you, okay, everybody gonna get a red roof, why, and how? And how that's beneficial to the country. And when it started, and how you'll know in 5 years was a win and was a loss. And all of these things. And the numbers on the video not going down. So that means all you really don't want to go in your bed and sleep. But I want to go in mine. I want to go and sleep. So I want to tell you that everything, and I tell you, we have all these rights and Trinidad is badly made. That's the problem. I said today, if you didn't read it, I'll find it and read it for you now. Inchan, I want to read what Inchan just wrote. The Prime Minister blaming the candlelight vigils or spike in COVID cases sadly shows an attempt to deflect from the facts. Let us deal with the facts here, not the information that the former president's daughter does peddle. Can the Prime Minister, daughter-in-law Inchan, can the Prime Minister state how much persons claim that they attended one of the events and contracted the virus? Does the Ministry have any empirical data to validate the claims of the PM through contact tracing? Over 6 weeks after the candlelight vigil meeting, the PM now realized this. Apparently those who attended the meeting got a delayed response to the virus. The man that invited hard-hit trainees together with his Minister of Transport to Tobago at 50,000 showed up had nothing to do with the increase. The failure to close off beaches, etc. for Easter added fuel to the fire. The Prime Minister's friend who got married in Sinclair and invited over 200 guests had nothing to do with an increase. The fact that other large-scale events were held and people were untouched because they were big Sawatis and friends of ministers had nothing to do with it. The fact that for over 8 years we have been talking about open borders and still up to now nothing or little is being done. The fact that you claim that we have 17,000 immigrants and all of the figures point to over 150,000, you do not know how much illegal immigrants are here. Do we expect you to know where COVID cases are coming from? I will not disrespect you or your office, as my parents did not raise me like that. But I can say that I understand your thrust to blame someone other than yourself, as you are now looking rather stupid among your CARICOM peers. After all, you were boasting TNT beat COVID. I will deal with the rest on Wednesday night. That is in Chanishmel. My colleague. I like to be able to see that. I'm waiting for Winston Ragu and them to power their numbers. There's what I wrote today. And I'll share it with you. And I'm helped. Somebody named Anton wrote me something, and parts of it actually is in this, and he encouraged me to write this. What's the point of the presidency if it serves no real purpose, has no oversight, no authority, and acts only as a rubber stamp to the Prime Minister? In a surprise and rare address, our president followed PNM Prime Minister Rowley's lead and talked down to Trinidad and Tobago citizens. Apparently, the TT president, like the PNM Prime Minister, forgets that the TT citizens will pay her salary and for her upkeep in their royal fashion. However, she must realize that, unlike Queen Elizabeth, she's not royalty and is in office for a limited time. Also, in pontificating to us, she must understand that she's talking to a highly intelligent public, many of whom are far more intelligent, hardworking, and are contributing more to Trinidad and Tobago economy than she or the Prime Minister ever has or ever will. In larger developed countries whose standing in the world is far greater in every aspect than little Trinidad and Tobago, political leaders address their public with levels of humility, maturity, and vision that neither she nor PNM Prime Minister Rowley seem to be capable of. Here, we mass produce instant overseers and junior royalty with the ease of a freshwater Yankee developing their new accent before the plane leave the tarmac. She said that while she did not shed a tear for what she considered our bad behavior, she did give a sigh of resignation for our current SOE situation. Did she sigh over the bad behavior of office holders in 2 elections that caused 2 spikes? Or the jackassing of the scene that took 50,000 to Tobago and kept them pressed against each other for 14 days, leading to the source of the weeping, wailing, gnashing of teeth and deaths now? Why not use the bully pulpit to rap the knuckles of those who have made a right mess of it? Any size to the fact that our pandemic response is being led by a pharmacist and 4 junior doctors when so much medical talent abounds among us? How about the blatant theft and looting of the country under the guise of saving lives? Did she weep for hundreds of thousands of hungry bellies frustrated and at their wits' end while the arsonist in chief gets to play high-handed fireman for the fires he himself set? All of this, of course, again begs the question, what do the taxpayers get for the expensive office when all of its occupiers who enjoyed its benefits lamented its lack of authority? Every function of the president could be absorbed by other office holders, including Chief Justice and Senate President, and the now $108 million renovated, still unused President's House could be put to better use serving the taxpayers as a museum, from slavery to colonialism to now. Come touch where your great-grandfather get lashed on the back to put up this column now. Take a selfie. I'd say it's time to have that conversation now, but this is Trinidad. It was time to have that conversation since Ellis Clark. I knew someone who was friendly with Ellis Clark and he used to talk about the exploits, and he'd go for dinner and stand up on the balcony after dinner with a brandy in one hand, a cigar in the other, and piss on the peasants below, on the flower beds. That's how they see us. We are so stupid as a people that God said, look, a mountain of gold, take care of yourselves. And we watch a couple people come and thief the whole mountain, and we divide ourselves into 2 groups. Your people thiefed it. No, it's your people thiefed it. And the gold going. All gone. We watch it happen and fight among ourselves. Like jackasses. It's a shame. It's an indelible stain that we will have for the sum total of eternity, for the entirety of history. And anybody who commits anything to memory will commit that for the first 58 years, Trinidad and Tobago went back into slavery. We may not be getting lash with whip, but we're working harder than ever before just to survive. There will be a live video tomorrow with my brother, Dr. Paul Elias Alexander. Many of you have been calling for part 2 to the video we did the other night. And that video actually was going to be tonight. Satish Ramsaran had everything set up to go and Paul was on standby. But we really needed to answer what took place in the Parliament today. Tomorrow evening at 9 o'clock, I will be joined again by Dr. Paul Elias Alexander, who will tell the government and the junior doctors that people should not be dying from COVID-19 in this country and that there are ways to treat them from the first symptom, and hopefully they take some advice. Going forward, there's a Citizens Union of Trinidad and Tobago. If you've not yet joined, I lead that organization. The Citizens Union of Trinidad and Tobago, citizensuniontt.org, citizensuniontt.com. We have a large membership growing every day. If you're in business, you offer any goods or service. If you're making tolom in your house, if you're a seamstress, and you would like people to know and give you their business, join the Citizens Union as a business affiliate. Be added to our newsletter. Offer a special to card-carrying members of the Citizens Union, and we'll encourage them to bring their business to you as a cost of less than $2 a day. Yeah. Thank everybody for being here. I'd like to thank the cast of characters that were in the Parliament today that continue to make a right mess of it, but give us so much entertainment. And I'd like to thank especially Dr. Keith Christopher Rowley for staying in character and proving to us, never doubt the capacity of a fool to fool you. He seems to have absolute confidence in his abilities. To the people who support the PNM, why? Until tomorrow, stay safe. Trinidad and Tobago.